The Miami Heat just lost the biggest game of their season to the Indiana Pacers, closing the door on a possibility for a definitive playoff spot in this Eastern Conference. An absolutely back-breaking loss by this Miami Heat team to none other than an Eastern Conference rival sitting a spot above us in the Indiana Pacers. We'll recap this horrible loss by the Miami Heat as well as highlight where they currently sit in these Eastern Conference standings and what chances they have with just 4 games remaining in this NBA season. We'll break this all down on this episode of Heat Digest, where we create daily Miami Heat content. So 84% of you guys are watching this are not currently subscribed. So if you're a part of that 84%, please scroll down, click the subscribe button. It takes 1 second to do. We appreciate all of the love and support. We do see it. So once again, thank you guys so very much. But now let's get to it and break down this absolutely gut-wrenching, back-breaking, horrible loss by this Miami Heat team to the Indiana Pacers. And it really, from the opening tip through that first quarter, it just felt like the Miami Heat were going to lose worse than they did. We only lost by 2. It was a very competitive game, especially in the second half, especially down the stretch of the fourth quarter. But again, we were losing from the start of the game until the end of the game. We were playing from a deficit and playing a team like the Indiana Pacers. Yes, they have Pascal Siakam. They just went and got this season. They also have Miles Turner, Tyrese Halliburton, and a bunch of other really good role players that fit this team really well. They don't play a lick of defense, but because of their ability to score the basketball time in and time down the floor, it really prevails them to win these games. And tonight was no different, as the Miami Heat really came out and the defense on the opening quarter was not great for the Miami Heat. I felt like a key to this game for the Miami Heat was to come out and really play that high-energy defense that we saw for spurts in that 76er game, where we were able to really minimize Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. We really need to come out and do that and establish that in the first quarter of this game to really not only make sure that we're not playing from a deficit, but also allowing us to know that we don't have to get in half-court sets every time down the floor. We're able to not only stop a high-velocity offense in Indiana, but also turn that into points, get out in transition, create some easy baskets for a Miami Heat team that really does struggle in the half-court offense. I have a quote here from, where are we at? From Big Business on Twitter. He said, Miami Heat offense, Jimmy Butler pump fakes, drives for a layup and has to kick it to Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier pump fakes and kicks it to Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero pump fakes and waits for Caleb Martin to cut so he can miss a layup. It's a horrible tweet. It highlights the Miami Heat in a horrible way, but it's unfortunately so accurate. This Miami Heat team goes flat. You've heard me say this time and time again on these recaps for these Miami Heat losses. And it's these close games, these competitive games against teams that we really can be considered better than due to the amount of talent we have and the way we play the game of basketball by the person we are led with Eric Spoelstra and Jimmy Butler and their leaders on the floor, and not obviously in the coaching staff with Eric Spoelstra, like I mentioned. But again, we come down and we go flat despite having Tyler Hero. I know he's only 2 games back and he's not playing starter minutes and he's coming off the bench. But again, Jimmy Butler, Terry Rozier, who we'll get to in just a minute, as he exited the game at the 4:59 mark in the third quarter, and he never came back in. Again, we don't have any updates on him and a possible injury that he suffered during the midst of this game. But he went absent in this game, only played 22 minutes. In that 22 minutes, he wasn't very effective, but again, a legitimate option on the offensive end for the Miami Heat. He shot 2 of 7 from the field, including 0 for 1 from behind the three-point line, 4 points, 4 assists, and 2 steals. He was facilitating the ball decently well for the time that he had on the floor, but again, not what we needed from the Miami Heat, especially during this game. If we look at the team stats and we look at the total turnovers, just 7 apiece for both teams. Is this a win in the sense that the Miami Heat didn't constantly shoot themselves in the foot and turn the ball over constantly and have 7 turnovers in a quarter like we've seen before in the past? But again, yes, we held on to the ball. Yes, we didn't turn it over constantly and allow a team in Indiana that is already great on offense to get even easier baskets without setting up in a half-court offense. But we didn't cause any turnovers. Only 7 turnovers caused by this Miami Heat team. For the Indiana Pacers, they did a great job not turning the ball over, but again, not what the Miami Heat need. We turned those 7 turnovers into 9 Miami Heat points, 6 of them coming off the fast break. But again, these numbers need to be inflated greatly, and especially in a game where we are playing such a volatile offense in the Indiana Pacers that can explode for so many points so fast. I will say, for the shooting percentages, we did shoot 46%. We could not get shots going really at all during that first half. It felt like we were sluggish. Jimmy Butler tried to come out and set the tone. I will say he was a bit aggressive in that first half, but again, he was not shooting the ball all that effective. 2 of 6 during the first quarter. 6 shots in one quarter for Jimmy Butler is great, but again, if the shots aren't falling, yes, have him be aggressive, put the ball in his hands, but really look to facilitate like we know Jimmy Butler can do at a high level, especially when he attracts so much attention like he does. And with these options, with Tyler Hero now back, Kevin Love back, who stretches the floor greatly, Bam Adebayo, who I don't even have to mention, as he is a great offensive player whenever, with whoever he's playing with or against, and obviously Duncan Robinson, these other three-point threats, we did not do a good enough job. I will say we did a good job at the free throw line, as we did shoot 32 free throws, which is absolutely absurd for any team in the NBA. 29 of 32, which we will take, which is 90% from the field. But if we look at the three-point shots, this game would have been a hell of a lot different if either team, either the Pacers or the Miami Heat, could get anything going from deep, as the Miami Heat shot 8 of 27 from behind the three-point line. As we know, we live and die by that three-point shot, as the the Indiana Pacers shot 9 of 32 from behind the three-point line. Really no better than the Miami Heat at 28% from the three-point line. Overall, not a great game for the Miami Heat. The defense really didn't pick up until that second half, where the Miami offense actually did do its job and things really started to roll. It felt like that despite the Miami Heat playing from a deficit, we had a chance. We were down 10 for multiple points in this game, and it felt like, due to the fact that we were able to erase a 22-point lead at one point from these Indiana Pacers and cut it to a 10-point lead, and really feels like the Miami Heat had life during this game. Not even due to the fact that we were able to score on the offensive end constantly, but it was due to the fact that we were able to get those stops and able to score when we got those stops, especially in the second half. It did not matter, as we still fell short 115 to 117, and the Miami Heat did lose this game. But again, if we look at the box score, few things that look the same, few things that look a bit different. We already highlighted Terry Rozier in the minimal minutes that he did play and the lack of shots we did get from him. But Duncan Robinson got another start tonight, because we are still not starting Tyler Hero due to it being his second game back. And Duncan Robinson, ever since returning from this lower back injury or discomfort, however you may want to address it, is still not the same person that he was before the injury. It is definitely still affecting him, as he shot 0 of 4 from the field tonight, all 4 shots being three-point attempts. None of them falling, obviously. He did not attempt a free throw. He went scoreless in 12 minutes of basketball, adding 3 rebounds, a plus-minus of -7. Not a great performance from Duncan Robinson. For the rest of the starting 5 for the Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler was the most aggressive player for the Miami Heat tonight. It was a great performance, but again, we needed more. And I feel like, I know it's so much on Jimmy, and it's not fair to really say this in hindsight after this, but going into this game, it felt like it was time. Like, the timer's gone off, Jimmy. We need you to put the ball in your hands. Come and get the basketball. Be demanding. Get the ball. I don't care if it's ISO basketball. Facilitate the offense at least. When we are in the half-court sets, we are 78 games into this NBA season. We know at this point, the Miami Heat offense, who hasn't been at full strength all season long. Yes, that is fair to point out. It's fair to highlight and fair to acknowledge. But we have to understand, it's crunch time. This is a game we absolutely have to win. Have to win. As we are playing the 6th seed, we're only a half game back. If we win this game, this playoff picture looks totally different for the Miami Heat. Now, is it over to the fact that we win tonight? No. If we won tonight, it was not over, as we had 4 games left. The Indiana Pacers have 3 games left, and their strength of schedule is not very difficult. And because of that, we would still have to be competitive for the rest of the games. But again, if we look at the games we have coming up, at Atlanta, not a great team. They're fighting just to be alive in the play-in position in the Eastern Conference. And then versus Dallas, that is at home. Dallas is a great team out in the Western Conference, but is a competitive game that would definitely be wire to wire, depending on Luka Doncic playing or not, and obviously Kyrie Irving, who seems like he has an injury every other week. And then obviously the last 2 games against the Toronto Raptors, who I don't even have to highlight, are currently in the bottom tier of the Eastern Conference at 24 and 53, way out of the play-in position. But again, not a game the Miami Heat could afford to lose, and Jimmy Butler did shoot 7 of 16. just under 50%, around 40%. 1 of 3 from behind the three-point line. 12 of 12 from the free throw line. We love to see Jimmy being aggressive. He was definitely a focal point for the Miami Heat in the half-court offense, as excluding the free throws, we would have been really just, it would have been worse than what we currently are, as we would totally have been in shambles in this half-court offense due to the 29 free throws we did make, 32 that we did shoot. Jimmy shot 12 of them, making, that was the Indiana Pacers box score, 12 of them. All 12 of them, 27 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds with a steal, plus minus of -6. Not really what we love to see. Jovic, I will highlight, as he had one of the only plus minuses that was great tonight for the Miami Heat. Actually, the only plus minus that was great tonight for the Miami Heat, as he had 18 points, 2 rebounds. He did not have an assist, but he shot 6 of 10 from the field, including 2 of 5 from behind the three-point line. He is a great young player. I love the fact that he can stretch the floor and he shoots it with such confidence. It is really a joy to watch. He's really elevated his game throughout this entire year. Throughout the first half of the year, I didn't know if he was going to be trade bait for other teams in the NBA, as he had a bunch of young potential, the potential to really stretch the floor and really fit in on any team, whether being a role player or filling in those starting minutes when he has to. And again, a great game from him, but overall did not propel us to a win. And then finally, Bam Adebayo, who's probably our player of the game, excluding Caleb Martin off the bench. 20 points from Bam Adebayo, 12 boards, 3 assists, with a single block, shooting 8 of 18 from the field, 1 of 4 from behind the three-point line. A hell of a lot of attempts from Bam Adebayo. He's probably still thinking he is considered a sharpshooter at this point, making so many threes in the last 20 games, or the last 10 games for this Miami Heat team. And then 3 of 4 from the free throw line, which is great to see, as he was struggling with his free throws for a time being during the season. The last two guys I'm going to highlight are Caleb Martin and Tyler Hero, who both came off the bench and played 30-plus minutes. They played great. It doesn't seem like Tyler Hero's on much of a minute restriction, especially down the stretch, as he had a bunch of major shots for the Miami Heat down the stretch of this fourth quarter. In 31 minutes, he shot 6 of 12 from the field, 3 of 7 from behind the three-point line, including making all 6 of his free throws. Another positive, as it's another Miami Heat player who was struggling with his free throw percentage for some time this NBA season. It felt like he was going 1 for 2, a hell of a lot more than he was last year shooting. He had 21 points, 5 rebounds, and an assist, plus minus of even, which is very interesting to think in 31 minutes of basketball. And then finally, Caleb Martin, 36 minutes. He shot 8 of 10 from the field, including 1 of 1 from 3, 3 of 5 from the free throw line, 20 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. Overall, if you had to argue, it'd be between Caleb Martin and really Tyler Hero for player of the game for this Miami Heat team. I know Tyler was kind of streaky here and there, but again, he made a bunch of big shots down the stretch. Caleb Martin is just like the Miami Heat culture in a player this season, at least based off what we've seen from these players night in and night out. He plays so hard and so energetic on the defensive end, and then he plays the offensive role so well. It's not like we look for him for offense, but there's times when we kind of have to, due to the us going stagnant on the offensive end in the half-court offense. And his ability to go to the basket, willingly take contact, go to the free throw line, make an open 3, it really just works out for us. And if we do get to the playoffs and we make a deep push, Caleb Martin will be probably one of the bigger focal points for this Miami Heat team. But again, that will probably be it for this episode of Heat Digest. Once again, we did lose the season series to this Indiana Pacers team with this loss, 115-117 in Indiana. With this loss, we're in the 7th seed. We're a game and a half back. We are tied with the Philadelphia 76ers, which is absolutely terrifying, as we have 4 games left. At Atlanta, then at home for Dallas and Toronto twice. These are games we absolutely have to win. I know I keep saying that, but no jokes, there's no me being optimistic, hoping for wins here, as I was when I told you guys I think we could go 8-1 over our last 9 games. We've dropped 2 already with 4 games remaining. Atlanta, we should roll. Toronto, we should absolutely roll. Dallas will be a very competitive game, but Luka and Kyrie obviously dealing with injuries, not wanting to get really significantly injured going into the playoffs, as they are also battling in the play-in position in the Western Conference. So again, it's going to be very interesting for the Miami Heat. We need to win out. We need to make sure that we can at least hold that 7th seed in the Eastern Conference and not drop to even the 8th seed and let Philadelphia have the home court advantage for these play-in games. So again, that will be it for this episode of Heat Digest. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Hopefully it's after a Miami Heat win and not another crushing Miami Heat loss. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.